about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, let's talk about Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Happy Monday. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is Mindset Monday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to chat about whatever it is we want to chat about. And today we are talking about toxic masculinity, not just toxic masculinity, but Black men and toxic masculinity. And so I am super excited and delighted to have my very special guest, Mr. Karon Montgomery, who has been on Conversations with Nicole before, back in 2022. So we are glad to have him back here again. But before I bring him on, I want to hear from you. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube, and this is an interactive conversation, which means that we want to hear from you. We want to receive your comments and your questions, and we also want to know where you are tuning in from. So if you don't mind, please enter in the comments your city and state so we can give you a shout out. I see you, Brother Marcus Boston, who is down in Tampa. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you so much. I know it is the national championship for college football tonight, but that's okay. We're going to push through. And for those of you who are watching the game during the commercial breaks, just listen in. All right. Because we have truly got a topic, a conversation in store for you tonight. All right. My mom from Miami is tuning in. Thank you for being here, Ma. Tag a friend, let them know they need to be on here because this is going to be very interesting. This is a hot topic. Me and Karon went back and forth over it yesterday, and we went around and backwards and forwards, and I don't know if we even came up with a happy medium, but we tried. So it's gonna be good. I see you, Brother Joe Ward, on the Shoulders of Giants, on with us. Thank you so much for being here in Tallahassee. And yes, Marcus, toxic masculinity. Right. So hopefully you are here for it. Again, tag somebody, tell them they need to be on here. Share, like, and share, like, and share, like, and share. Because again, this promises to be a lively discussion tonight. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share some of Mr. Montgomery's bio. He is a native of Orlando, Florida. He attended the Springfield College, where he obtained his Bachelor's of Science degree in Human Services. He also obtained a Master's of Science degree in Mental Health Counseling from Springfield College. He also became a licensed mental health counselor and a certified juvenile sex offender specialist counselor. He is a qualified supervisor, providing supervision to those who are looking to pursue licensure in the field. He has over 17 years of experience working in the mental health field, with 12 of those working for the Department of Juvenile Justice with at-risk youth with co-occurring diagnosis. He has expertise dealing with a variety of mental and behavioral health diseases. His specialty is with adolescents, with a number of therapies and modalities. I'm not going to go into all of them because it is an extensive list. But he also has his own business, Titan Counseling and Behavioral Health LLC, where he is the CEO. He also And this is a really neat, fun fact. I think I may have mentioned it the last time he was on, but he is a classically trained dancer. He has been the artistic director at a dance room in Auburndale, Florida, and he also has taught dance. And so we are super excited to have this creative and caring person on with us tonight. Karen continues to push towards the mark of breaking intergenerational curses by providing an outlet to safely explore ideas and experiences without fear of judgment, shame, or condemnation. And he hopes to continue his path until he is able to hear the words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." So, y'all, help me welcome Karon Montgomery.
What's up, fam? I'm back. I feel like I returned home.
Yes, you did return home. You did, you did, you did. We are glad to have you.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so it's been what, 2022, I think.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think we didn't see you last year, so
no.
it's been a little minute. So
Yes, it
again,
has.
and I'm sure a lot has happened from that time to this.
Not a lot, but a lot.
Yeah, I got you. That's fine. That's cool. Well, for folks that missed you the last time, my favorite question is, who are you? Not what do you do, because I read a little bit of that, but
hmm
who are you?
Who is Karan? Okay, just like last time, I am your average Joe. I don't pretend like I know it all. I am a student of life, so I try to learn as much as I possibly can. I never, put myself in the expert realm because I feel like life is full of opportunities to learn.
Mm,
I try to learn as much as I possibly can about a different rate of issues, whether it's social and societal. Um, I try to, get a great understanding about cultural differences
mm,
due to the fact that I'm in this field. And I have clients that are from different cultural backgrounds. And, so at the very least, I just try to learn every day. And I take it one day at a time, and I try to just look at every opportunity of growth or achievement, no matter how small it is.
nice, 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 nice. Yeah. One day at a time, moment by moment. I know sometimes that can be challenging because we have so many things coming at us, but
Especially nowadays, we're
mhm,
being hit from all different areas.
absolutely, absolutely. So we have a few folks that have joined us. Kia Crochets. Oh, I know who that is. Yes, thank you for being here. She's here in Tallahassee. Rakia, thank you. John White says you're the best lady. I appreciate you. He said, your show is important. I hate watching the football game and learning from you. That's okay. We got it. Listen, you could do both. You can multitask.
Yes, that's right.
We got Emmanuel on. He said, I might be watching football, but he's going to support. All right.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Emmanuel. Thank you for contributing to the conversation. He's here in Tallahassee. And Miss Janetta, who is also here in Tallahassee. Thank you for joining us. All right. So, whew,
Mm,
this topic, listen, let's start with, well, actually, before we start, because I have a licensed clinician on. I don't want nobody to mistake our conversation for counseling. All right.
mhm, mhm.
So I gotta read my disclaimer, if y'all don't mind, which states that all topics, past, present, and future on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right. All right. So I think we need to start out with a definition.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Well, first, let me start off by saying, y'all don't kill me. Don't kill me. My brothers out there, don't kill me. Okay. All I'm doing is providing information. All
uh,
right.
don't hate the messenger, huh?
Right, right. Don't kill me.
Right.
All right. So, toxic masculinity. I know
Mm,
that everybody wants to know what that means. Okay. So from the definition I got, and I'm gonna read it straight from the definition. It says, and this is from Oxford English Dictionary. It says toxic masculinity is defined as a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men regarding as having a negative impact on men and on society as a whole. It has a negative impact. Okay. And once again, it is a set of attitudes and ways of behaving. All right. That is stereotypically, okay,
okay.
associated with or the expectations of what it is to be a man.
All right. All right. So I just want to lay that foundation. So when we're talking about toxic masculinity, that's what we're talking about for the sake of this conversation. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. All right.
Okay. So why is this toxic? Okay. And why is this important? This topic is important, and it's important because I'm gonna start off a little historical. Okay. I'm not gonna touch too much on it. I'm just gonna skate over it. All right. I just want to set the precedent of this meeting tonight. Um, as black men, we know that slavery happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when slavery happened, it removed us from our cultural identity. It removed us from our family. It moved us from our homeland as we knew it, and we was brought somewhere new. Our families was being split up. We went to several different plantations, and so starting from there, and let's go back to the chopping block, right? The Where we were being sold. We were picked based off of what we could provide to the slave masters. So the bigger the guy was, the more dominant features he had, he was he was high priority. He was good stock, right? He was A1, you know. Um and from there that they utilize that as a way to make sure that this individual can produce more slaves, right? It was all about breeding to produce.
Right.
And with that, we have the the different expectation of within the slaves, right? The difference between the field slave and the house slave.
All right.
Okay, which caused a conflict within the man itself, right? And let's be honest, what did the field slave look like?
The field slave was dark skinned.
Dark skin, very heavy features, right?
Right.
And the house slave was
Was the light
usually
skin.
light skinned. And why he was light skinned is because he was usually a product of the slave master and a
Right.
female slave, right?
Yeah.
So very nice features, right? Which was praised upon. He was able to work in the house,
Mm-hmm.
where this heavy feature, strong feature, dark man was out in the field, slaving away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we already have that conflict between us in our community of just being slaves,
Right.
correct? All right, and we fast forward to the 40s and the 50s. All right, now we have come to a place where we embracing who we are. Right, we
Mhm.
are now quote unquote free. Right, we have a little bit more rights. Right, the 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 idea of what is a man or it is to be a man,
Mhm.
right? You saw that strong um, presence in the household,
Mhm.
okay? And so up until like maybe the 70s, right? 70s, then now we're talking about war, the wars, World War I and II. They're going on during this time period.
Mm-hmm.
Took the man out the house, right? He come back from war, still has that nice that present of the man. He is this idea of masculinity at these stages, right? Was still positive,
Mm-hmm.
you, you know. Although there was some things that was missing, there were some things that were missing, and we're gonna get into what are some of those things are. And I can't and I didn't I'm gonna identify 10.
Okay.
80s crack cocaine epidemic,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're talking about well, let's even go back. You're talking about crack cocaine. You're talking about gentrification, and all of those things that kept us men out of the household.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the time frame where the idea of masculinity has really shifted.
Okay.
Once once our fathers, right, has now been removed from the home and placed in institutions like prison.
Mm-hmm.
So who's now raising our little boys?
The mothers.
The mothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the game bangers on the street,
The streets. Okay.
okay? Um, or the what society say what a man is,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And we have to also look at it as time has changed. The idea of what is masculine has started to shift.
So I'm gonna pause you right there.
Okay.
John is asking, he wants to know, what does this have to do with toxic masculinity? So John, I think uh Karon is trying to provide a framework in terms of a historical reference. But I want to get the viewers involved. So
Okay.
I wanna quiz you all, or get your input in terms of what you believe masculinity is, because Karen gave us a whole uh, kind of a historical reference, and we're talking about Black men and toxic masculinity. So I think there were many things that you have mentioned that have contributed to um, uh, the definition of what a Black man is, or part of his psyche around what manhood is. And so I want to, especially for the Black men that are on the live, I
Hmm.
would love to hear from you about what you believe masculinity is. What do you believe masculinity is? Um, I have had a few conversations around this topic as we were leading up to this moment now, with some of my friends about um, this, the idea of what toxic masculinity is, and masculinity in general, and gender roles, period.
Hmm.
Right. And you and I kind of talked about this some. I feel like uh, sometimes, or currently, the lines are kind of blurred. Right. I feel like we have moved to a more gender neutral, or the attempt to make human beings more gender neutral. And when we talk about gender roles, it's like, and I talked to you about this. I think maybe historically, from a historical standpoint, maybe the woman has been thought to kind of handle all of the things that are in the house, where the man has been thought to be the one to handle the things outside of the house. But we see a lot of kind of flip flopping of that, where maybe the woman is now the lead breadwinner, and she's spending a lot more time out of the home, working, and maybe the Black man is not. And
Hmm.
again, we are specifically speaking about black men. So I think we have to take a closer look at what the Black man's journey has been in America, and where they kind of currently are today.
Hmm.
So I don't have any takers in the comments right now, in terms of expressing what masculinity is, but I think it's worth exploring, like really kind of taking a deeper dive into what that is. Is it roles? Is it the task or the work that men do? I mean, I think that we have, again, historically, men have been thought of as protectors and providers, right? But I believe there's much more to men than just protecting and providing.
And it is. And so masculinity are, once again, the definition loosely is one is a noun, all right, and so it is the qualities or attributes that is usually contributed to men or boys,
Mm-hmm.
usually, all right,
Okay.
but it doesn't mean that it is necessarily a man, you
Or men.
know, or men, masculine. It can Women can be masculine, you know,
Mm.
um, you know, it doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter, your creed, your nationality. It doesn't. All of that does not matter. That
Mhm.
all those things doesn't make you masculine or feminine, right? We
Okay.
have to remember that we get two sets of chromosomes, one
Mm.
from our fathers, one from our mothers,
Right.
right? So we are the duality of both. We
Mm.
have both, you know, and so as one of your guests has said, what it has to do with toxic
Mm.
masculinity, I believe he said, or just
Yes. Yes.
masculinity in general.
Yes. What does this have to do with
Okay,
toxic
right.
masculinity? I
So
think
with
it was when you
okay,
were given the history.
right, and so if we look at the cultural aspect, right,
Mm-hmm.
of black men and what has been stripped away from us,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think we moved away from the pure definition of that term,
Okay.
right? Qualities that are associated with men or boys.
All right.
You know,
Let me pause you real quick. E said masculinity is confidence, strength, and character, and morals and wisdom. Okay.
and
Thank you.
which
Thank
are
you.
all qualities, right? And
Uh-huh.
so, and all those qualities can be associated with men or women.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what's the differentiation then?
Okay, and so once again, it is when we're gonna look at it from a societal point of view, because I don't like living in boxes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not a box person. And so, whatever characteristics that you can give to me as a man, you can also give to a woman,
Mm.
right? Like I have masculine qualities, I have feminine qualities. I'm made up of both.
John
Y-
said, "Are we talking about men or women?" He's trying to get to the heart of this thing.
Okay. All right, John want me to go right to
Yeah,
he don't want the
he
fluff.
know
All
what are
right.
we talking about?
Okay. All right. And so with in order to understand toxic masculinity, we need to understand what is masculinity first,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we can't go to the toxic unless we know what masculinity is. All
Okay.
right, and so we're gonna stick with the definition: attributes or characteristics that is usually associated with men or boys.
Okay.
Okay, and so once again, we have to ask ourselves, what are some of those characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
right? And from a societal point of view, what makes it toxic, right? It is that a lot of these characteristics that we are noticing now, okay, it is not wisdom, it is not strength, it's not courage,
Mm-hmm.
right? And which will take me right into some 10 areas where men or attributes that men can display toxic masculinity characteristics.
Okay, let me
Uh,
pause you real quick. Uh, so John said the title is Black Men. So he's trying to make sure we are clarifying what that is. I got Brother Quasi on. He said I disagree. Women cannot be a figure of masculinity. They can only pretend to be.
I didn't say they are a figure of masculinity. I said that we both have masculine and feminine traits,
Okay.
right?
All right.
All
Um,
right.
Sharice just joined us. Thank you for being here. She's based in Atlanta. Thank you for being here, Sharice. All right. So John agreed. He said amen. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay. So as it relates to black men and toxic masculinity,
Mm,
okay. So these are 10 examples,
okay.
okay, that I have found. All right. The first one is being stoic.
Mm,
Okay. And so what this is says that we must, right? Not can, right? Must be self-reliant, independent, physically tough.
okay.
Okay. Which then tells us that these are some of the characteristics that we have to take on in throughout life. All right. And how can this become toxic? If a man is not those things, right, or not all of those things, all right, they can be looked at as they could be ridiculed about it.
Mm,
All right. And let's look at this tough self-reliant independent, you know if that is not in balance, right?
mm-hmm,
And you see this in areas of business, finance, Fortune 500, you know, companies
mm-hmm.
where those individuals, we should call it that A-type personality,
Okay.
right? You know, if that is on the negative side, that A-type personality can look like symptoms of narcissism.
Mm,
And once again, we're not talking about positive character. We're not talking about characteristics that are positive. All right,
gotcha.
these are characteristics that is hindering this individual, which then means it is taken away from the community as a whole.
So John asked, ridicule by who?
Other men, other from society, how society looks at us, what society says that we should be. Right,
Mm,
that's who we are ridiculed by. We can even be ridiculed by members in our own, in our own circle.
mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So stoic is one.
All right. So in the area of of promiscuous behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. um we Society says, right, I'm not saying that this is what we say about ourselves. Okay. Society says that we are dogs, and I'm gonna give it to you straight, right? I'm not gonna give you the pretty words, right?
Huh.
We are dogs. We are sexually promiscuous. We don't commit, right? What then means that we don't father. And if that is what if that what we are subscribing to, let's look at the families, right? Let's look at relationships that we see. It ties in, right? There's fatherless homes,
Mm-hmm.
fathers with multiple children, and they're not taking care of their kids.
Okay.
All right. Once again, I'm not talking about y'all with y'all people out there in the land that who doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. I don't want to get shot. Right.
You said, is Kara feeling that heat? John said, that's giving up control to outside forces. Society is status quo.
It is,
And
right. And a lot of and
he said the slave master had multiple children as well.
you right. You're absolutely right.
Oh goodness. Okay, hold on. Marcus, he said masculinity is the aroma of a man. He's burly or husky. Effeminate men are the opposite. It's the outer appearance. All right. So you think it is the outward appearance of the man? Marcus, I think that's what you are saying. Um, E says society says we should be hunters collecting trophies or women. Mm. All right. So we are about halfway through this conversation. So I want to pause and Just let those of you who are just joining us know I am on with Karon Montgomery. He is a clinician in the Orlando area, and we are talking Black men and toxic masculinity. So, we've talked a little bit from a historical standpoint, we've given a definition, and we are talking around what some of those toxic masculinity characteristics are, specifically in the African American community. Stoic promiscuity is the second one.
Hmm.
What else you got?
Being violent, and
Violence.
I'm gonna connect violent and dominant in the same category.
Okay.
Okay. Which is they're two different ones, but I'm gonna join them together because I think they kind of fit together a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. But they're definitely different. All right. Okay. We see it in TV all the time, right? We are known as the angry black men. We are known as the, criminals. We are known as, once again, this is known as from a societal standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I'm not talking about low self esteem. I'm not talking about, you know, these other viewpoints, just from a societal point, right? Which plays a big part, especially when you are a little boy, right? Or a little girl, because this toxic masculinity does not only affect the men, okay? It affect the women also.
Right.
All right. And so when you're seeing these things, especially in the media, right? Our representation, still now, but definitely you're talking about 80s to early 2000s, right? It wasn't all that great what we saw in the news as it relates to black men, you know,
It is still not.
and it's still not, but it was heavily, heavily looked upon as game bangers, just not wanting to take care of nothing, just want to run the street, right? We weren't, drugs, money, and women. you know, that was what we have been looked at, and that was what little boys and girls, admired to be.
Hmm.
You know,
So you're saying they emulated that?
and they emulated it.
Hmm. Okay. So violence and the angry black man and criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and all these things cause harm.
Okay.
Dominance. Once again, this it's about power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whether it is to cause harm, either being verbally or physically dominant, right? Bullying. So once again, that angry black man, notion, right? And uh, and so we also see this in poor interactions and relationships
Hmm. As a result of the violence, is that what you're saying?
as a result of those two categories, being violent and being dominant.
Dominance. Okay,
Hmm.
gotcha. All right.
Okay.
All right, hold on. John said he emulated his dad. He also mentioned that the slave master was violent and angry.
John, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, John. I'm right there with you. You're absolutely correct. They're probably
But
more. They was
but I
way
think
more violent than the slave was.
he actually brings up some really good points from the standpoint of perhaps, you know, we are, or our ancestors were maybe emulating, or yeah, emulating what was being done to them, right? Because there was that power and control, because there was the aggressive nature, because of the promiscuity, some of the things that John is, it's like you're saying it, but he's bringing it back up in terms of like almost a mirror, like we are doing the things that were done to us.
Yes, and I would say that it's a learned behavior,
Mm-hmm.
just like appropriate masculinity traits are something that is taught. toxic masculinity traits are something that is taught.
Gotcha.
You,
Um, E said that entertainment played a big part from movies, TV, and music. What you
okay,
think of that?
I definitely agree.
Okay.
You know, there has been a shift. So I don't want to say that this is what is totally going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think we have gotten to a place where there has been a little progression when it comes to this. Not
Mm,
enough, but a little, right? You
gotcha.
know, we're moving away from, you know, the the roles that black men and women was given, you know, back, you know, a couple of decades ago, you
Mm-hmm.
know, where it was the pimp, it was the game banger, it was the crackhead, it was the drug dealer, right? I think we're starting to shift, you know, to have a better representation of black men in film and theater and media, but it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just glorified from a different angle.
Indeed. Let me pause. Ira said these bad societal ideas about what a black man should act like can cause women to desire the bad boy because they
Ooh,
think those negative characteristics define masculinity, which is a excellent point, Iris. Thank you for sharing.
ooh, that was one of my topics. How women contributed to this.
Okay. So now you said you had, was it 10?
Where we at? We're halfway through that. One,
Maybe.
two,
I don't
three.
know. So you said stoic,
Okay.
promiscuity, violence, dominance. What else?
All right. Okay. And so, hmm. Ooh, y'all don't kill me.
No, say it.
So the the way we respond, the way that black men respond to homosexuality.
Okay.
Okay. It is. I don't want to use program. We have been we have been fed, right? Um, the that homosexuality, right, is is associated with feminine characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this again. We have been we have been influenced, right? Okay, that homosexuality is only associated with feminine characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
which means that, right, if if there's a homosexual man, right, we have already said, okay, you're a girl. You know, you're not masculine. You can't you know you can't do these things. So we place these individuals in a box. Now, granted, there are some individuals that have a lot of feminine characteristics,
Okay.
but that is not the whole. John, what you mean by it is?
You said about the feminine characteristics.
Not all
Um,
not all homosexual men are feminine. Just like not all of heterosexual men are overtly masculine.
mhm.
And I think we do ourselves a disservice as a community to place ourselves in these little micro boxes
Mhm.
that society has already placed that society placed us in this bigger box.
So there's value in naming a thing, right?
Hmm.
Um, because then we know what we're dealing with and and where we're coming from, right? Which is why we started out this conversation with defining what toxic masculinity is, because we need to know, what it is exactly we're talking about. Now, you know, somebody on here has mentioned the outer look of a man. Someone else has mentioned some internal qualities defining masculinity. But based on your definition or the definition that you gave for masculinity, it was pertaining to characteristics of man and boy. So to me, that is, in some regards, talking about genitalia, right?
What does genitalia have to do with homosexuality?
Well, no, I'm just again trying to get a clear understanding of again what masculinity is, though,
And
right?
you see, it's so broad, right?
I don't know. That's what
it,
I'm trying to understand.
it's a broad thing, right? And the purpose of this conversation is really to just open our minds, right? To stretch
Mhm.
it a little bit,
Right.
and to start seeing things and seeing how either the things that we have been taught,
Mhm.
right, or the things that we are currently doing, and how and how that is stripping away from the community itself. All right.
Okay.
So we already have barriers that we have to face just
Right.
being who we are, just the color of our skin, right?
Mhm.
And once again, this goes back, a couple of decades, or a couple of 100 years, right? Um, where we are now starting to pull each other's down, and we're making these labels to place people in these smaller boxes.
Okay.
And so one person said, give a couple of examples of toxic
What's
masculinity.
of
Okay.
a toxic man?
All right.
Yes.
Of a toxic man.
Man
Okay.
wants to.
All right. So if I am broad, right? I'm the football player, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
I'm that top that A type personality. Everyone is gravitating toward me. I'm just exuding, right? The pheromones is just raging from me that I am a man, right?
Mhm.
Okay. If I am someone who likes art, musical theater, who likes dance, that macho man is looking at me like I'm less than.
Mm.
Right. And so that's why I don't want to confuse it where I don't want to put it in box of like homosexuality, men versus women, right? Well, yeah, that kind of sort of what it is, but homosexuality versus heterosexuality, I don't want to put it in that kind of box
Mm.
because those things are don't have that's not a description of what masculinity is. That's just who you like.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
So
And
John wants you to name some names. I I
what
guess
you mean by that?
like name some people that you are describing um that are like a toxic man or an example of that. And I don't know if
Training Day.
training day. Okay.
Okay. Denzel Washington character.
Mm-hmm.
That was toxic masculinity.
Gotcha.
But we praised that.
Did we?
King Kong don't got nothing on me. I hear that saying all the time. We
Mm,
praise that, right?
okay. So John said, okay. Let me scroll back. E said, too often we've been told that homosexuality is a threat. This isn't true.
It's not, right? But we have been conditioned to think that,
Mm,
and that's why I'm trying to stay away from it because it don't being straight, gay, trans, bisexual, with all, everything else, right? It has
mhm,
nothing to do with one masculinity, all right, but has a lot to do with how toxic masculinity can pull people down, which as a which I don't understand because we are a race of individuals that have been pulled down and still being pulled down from
mm.
progressing, but we do it to ourselves, to our own people.
Gotcha. Iris said, I have had the experience of having a man with toxic masculinity, abusive ex, and one who is truly masculine in the positive sense, my husband. The toxic masculine abuser was loud, mean, passive, and wanted me to take care of him. My husband, who is truly masculine in a positive sense, is a leader, a provider, gentle, kind, and respectful. Thank you for sharing that, Iris.
Some very good characteristics of your husband,
Mm-hmm.
of positive masculinity.
Indeed.
And so once again, toxic masculinity, once it pulls away from,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't add to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it. Princess just joined us. Thank you for being here, Princess. All right. So toxic pulls away from. Got it. All right. Um Muchi Muchismo gets confused with masculinity. Maybe that's machoism. Gets confused with
Macho.
masculinity too often.
I agree.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I feel a positive masculinity. You don't have to boast. You don't have to be loud with it, right? People just should be able to see it as you walk into a room, as you walking down the street. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a level of confidence, not overly confident, like not dangerously confident,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's a level of confidence that you just have about yourself,
Yeah.
right? You can capture a room without even having to do much.
Mm-hmm.
The toxic, right, will have everyone who will be drawing attention to themselves, who
Mm-hmm.
has to be in the spotlight, who has to be, the one that everybody is looking at plotting. You know what I'm saying? Who is
Yeah.
going to put down the other person for the sake of lifting themselves up.
Indeed. All right. So Ira said Male versus Man by DeAndre Whitfield is a great book that addresses this topic as well. Yes, I think that's good. Male versus man. Toxic masculinity is weakness. All right. He says now we're cooking. Just
Okay.
all
All
right.
right. Um,
And Quasi, I have two messages that are too long. Is there any way to divide and resend? I'm not sure, Quasi. Just try to do it in pieces, maybe.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So we have with this toxic masculinity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lack of displaying emotions. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let me back that up, because it's not emotions that they have a fear of expressing. It is other emotions except for the ones that we deem to be the more aggressive ones: anger, frustration, enrage, furious, right? Those emotions we don't have no issues explain. Not we, the toxic masculine male, have
Mm-hmm.
no issue expressing. But when it comes to expressing feelings like sadness, when we are feeling hurt, when we're feeling depressed,
Mm-hmm.
when we feel we have anxiety, confused, abandoned, all
Mm-hmm.
right? When these, and I'm using air quotes for a reason, these quote unquote softer emotions,
Mm-hmm.
right? That toxic male have a lot of issues with expressing.
Yeah. All
And
right.
that is also it's taught. That's a that is a generational curse emotional state.
So what say to you, some of you all on the live, around toxic masculinity and feelings, the ability to um express your feelings other than those that are of anger and frustration, but having conversations about your problems or emotions or maybe feelings of isolation or loneliness is that you feel like you are not a manly if you express those things. Let us know if you don't mind in the comments. Or is that okay? Is that acceptable?
Is it acceptable to experience a
To express
wider
to express those things,
and
yes.
I like to call it having being emotionally intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And not to say that anybody's dumb. This is not what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm saying that emotional intelligence is one, being able to communicate your emotions in an appropriate way.
Mm-hmm.
So, which means that you need to be able to have a wider vocabulary when it comes to the emotional state that you're in.
Yeah.
And for all my therapy people out there, anger is a secondary emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually something else that is going on or that you may be experiencing, but anger is the one thing that you is identifying. One,
Mm-hmm.
because that may be the how you got your point across.
Again, giving language to whatever is taking place.
Hmm.
So, you know, really kind of honing in on what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and the words that go along with that.
Exactly. And we as men have not been conditioned,
Mm.
right? We have not been taught. All right. I'm not saying all men, but majority of men, especially black men, have
Mm.
not been taught to be able to dig deeper and identify what they're really feeling,
Indeed.
which
Uh,
causes conflict in communication.
okay. E said being in tune with your emotions is not a weakness. Avoiding or ignoring them is a weakness. All right.
which which contributes to toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
When you think these things are a weakness, that's toxic.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. All right. So John, he said there are other ways to communicate than the ones you listed. I knew my daddy loved me without digging deeply. Okay. And that's cool. We got Brother Kufu on, who is here in Tallahassee. He said, great subject. When I hear masculinity, I physical, my knowledge of my true self has made me a strong, powerful black man. It is nothing topic toxic about my masculinity. From the physical realm, I am strong and powerful. From the spiritual realm, I can see without eyes, hear without ears, and release the beast at will. I am a black man who provides for my family, for his family, fight for his community, and has submitted his will to God. All right. Thank you, Brother Kufu, for sharing that. All right, Quasi, I think he's got a few parts to this. He said masculinity historically reflects male attributes characterized by physical strength, household leadership, procreator with wife, warrior for nation state, defender for wife and family. All right. He said masculinity is on display throughout Africa and the Caribbean now. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Actually, me and Karon talked a little bit about that um, prior to the live from the standpoint of some of the rites of passages that were historically done in African culture um, that brought the boys with the men at a certain age. And some of the things that you mentioned, um, were taught for you know, for manhood. And so I think that is definitely a point that's worth noting. Iris, she said toxic males are like toddlers when it comes to expressing negative emotions. They only know how to have tantrums, cussing, screaming, etc. Facing feelings in a mature way requires being introspective and self-aware. Masculine men can communicate their feelings in a healthy way. All right. Thank you, Iris, for sharing that. And then Princess, I seen this, and with me being a deep woman, some men cannot relate, causing confusion among us. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Princess. Let's see. It seemed like there was one other comment. Oh, Quasi said toxic masculinity is the result of embracing a Euro American subculture. And I kind of tend to agree with that. I really do.
And I say this in my practice all the time when I'm speaking with my private clients.
Hmm.
I subscribe to that. You know, um, I didn't sign the contract
Yeah.
to that expectation.
Hmm.
You know, and so I try to live my life as being just a good human being. You know, like let's take away all the labels. Like I just want to be a good human being.
Hmm.
Now with that, I I can be a good black person, you know, black male. I could be a good everything else. You know, but just being a good person overall will transcend into all these other areas.
Hmm.
And when you prescribe to what society says who we are and what we should be,
Hmm.
and in some aspects glorify all that negative,
Hmm.
you know, once again it pulls away from the community. It doesn't uplift it. Let's look at 95% of households today. You know,
Hmm.
let's look at where the kids are today.
Hmm.
And you know, and this toxic masculinity topic that we're talking about, it
Hmm.
also trans into womanhood
Womanhood.
and what women are starting to be attracted to and like and starting to also um reshape how they are and what is going to bring attention to themselves. If we ain't have toxic men talking about go out there and get a BBM, you know, or whatever, right? We wouldn't have these things. If we
Right.
didn't have a, you know, we if we didn't, and when I say toxic men, I'm not just talking about the black men, but just toxic men in all in general. You
Hmm.
know, um, I know we probably don't have enough time, um, but I know we talked about Cat Williams and his interview and the demasculation of black men.
Yeah, we did. So, one of the things that we kind of chatted about was, especially in the entertainment industry, in particular with actors and comedians, the requirement of them to put on a dress and pretend to be a woman to kind of take their careers to the next level. Um, and some of the backlash that comes from maybe not doing it, or the opportunities that are missed, if you will. But I guess the dignity that is retained by having not done that. And so there's been a lot of conversation in the community around this this interview that he did, that Cat Williams did recently, and specifically that point that was made. So it's yeah, it calls the question around, again, our definitions of masculinity and toxic masculinity at that. And really just kind of exploring this and trying to unpack it, and you know finding out kind of what our thoughts and feelings are about all of this. I ran across an article that actually gave some examples, that that again cause you to think, right? Give you pause. And so I want to just kind of share these real quick. I know we are really close to our time. And I know plenty of y'all are probably wanting to get back to this game. So the first one talks about when a boy in school doesn't act in traditionally masculine ways, and he is bullied by boys in his class for being too feminine. That's the first one. When a boy cries and his father tells him to toughen up or that men don't cry. That's the second one. The third one is when a man calls women sluts or whores for having sex outside of monogamous relationships. Number four is when a man tells his partner what they can and cannot wear and who they are and are not allowed to spend time with. The fifth one is the violence against trans women that occur every year by men who are threatened by a perceived violation of gender norms. Now, that one, yeah, I got a little problem with that one. The sixth one is when men criticize other men for being attracted to or in relationships with other men. When a man is afraid to be emotionally vulnerable with his partner for fear of seeming weak. And then the last one is when a man who is struggling with his mental health doesn't want to see a therapist because he should, quote unquote, man up or power through it. So, again, many questions to consider and think through, talk through. Again, we're not solving all of the problems here tonight, but I do think this is worth some conversations. And we can continue these conversations offline. Um, but I did want to get this started, and this was something that Karon said that he wanted to bring before the viewers tonight. Really quick, Quasi said, unfortunately, this subculture has perpetrated a disguise in our music and entertainment, religion, mass marketing of clothes and styles, and through a poor educational system in our community.
So this is a systematic issue.
Yes, it is.
And the way to the start to remedy it is for us men to start having honest and truthful conversations.
For sure.
And that's where it's going to start.
Mhm.
And lifting each other up instead of tearing each other down for our differences.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. John said he really enjoyed this discussion. Wonderful. I'm going to give you, and it feels like you just gave us like your closing remark there,
Yep.
but give you an opportunity to officially give your closing
Yes.
remark and tell folks how they can connect with you.
Okay. And so, one, you can connect with me through the information that is passed along on your screen. That is through the website of www.wemattersmhs.com. You can also contact me through my email, which is titancbh at gmail.com. Telephone number I could be reached at is 407-630-7977. That is my business line. I could be reached through normal business hours, 9 to 5. You can leave messages, text messages, and I can respond back within 72 hours, at 72 at the latest. And my closing remarks, as I stated, the way that we get over this, we improve this, is when we got to start having these conversations, not only with ourselves. Well, if we are fathers, we have to start looking at how we are teaching our young boys. If we are mentors, we have to do the same thing. We have to expand this box that society has placed us in, and we have to remove the micro boxes that we place each other in. That's the only way that we are going to be able to heal. That's the only way that we're going to be able to grow and improve this toxic masculinity that we are seeing in our society today, especially among us black men.
All right. You heard it here. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this conversation. And again, this is just the beginning. Um, we want you all to keep this conversation going in your amongst your family members, your peers, your friends, what have you, the safe spaces that you can have these types of conversations. Again, hopefully you all have enjoyed it. If you have, let us know in the comments. I saw John. He said, I really enjoyed the discussion. Thanks, Quasi. You may need a part 2 on this subject. Okay. And Quasi, we're going to get you to come on here and talk live so we can see you and hear from you as well. All right. E said it's halftime. Okay. E, so we safe. All right. Princess, thank you both. In deep convo and needed. Yes. Erica Taylor, thank you for being here. Brittany, thank you for being here. E said, I got a whooping for crying while watching The Color Purple. Listen, E, you needed to cry because listen, all the brothers on The Color Purple were toxic. My Lord.
Yes, Lord.
Quasi, he said, okay, all right, Quasi, I'm gonna hold you to that. All right. So for those of you who are new to the platform, I invite you to subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel. Subscribing is supporting, and we need all the support we can get. I put out a challenge. Actually, it was a community request for folks to play at least one of my videos every day through January 14th. I'm trying to reach 4,000 viewing hours within a 1-year period. Every day I gain viewers or gain views, but every day I lose them. So if y'all could play some of the more recent videos, that would be very, very helpful. Play them at night while you sleep, play them while you're doing laundry, play them while you're watching the game. You don't have to listen to them, just play them. That will help me out so very much. I really appreciate it. I also, again, invite you all to come back because, again, we are here on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. and the focus is on mental health and awareness in Black and Brown communities. On Wednesday, we got Ted Ellis, who is the director of the Civil Rights Institute at the Florida State University, and we're going to be talking about unapologetically owning Black identity and culture. Unapologetically owning Black identity and culture. In the climate that we're in right now, Black history, Black culture, Black identity is under attack. And so we will definitely unpack that in that conversation on Wednesday night. So we hope you will return and be a part of the conversation. All right. Again, thank you so much, Karon. I appreciate it. You made it. You made it through
All right.
without 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 losing a limb
I
or
know I got all my limbs and digits.
the screen. You made it. You made it. It's a tough conversation, but I'm glad we had it.
Yes, yes.
Yes. All right, good people. We will catch y'all later. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time.